Learning how to pace ourselves can sometimes feel really difficult, and it does take an awful lot of practice. So it's easy to try and sometimes break it down into a few different stages. So the first thing we do is establish a baseline. So that's thinking about how much activity you would carry out before you saw a significant increase in your symptoms. Now, it's not always about a physical activity, so it might be a sitting down activity, so watching a film, or if you're at work and you have a sedentary job. You might notice that then when you change position, things start to feel really uncomfortable. So when you've established your baseline, you then think about how long it takes you to recover from that. So it might be that your flare-up takes a few days to recover from before your symptom level drops back down again. We sometimes think when we're trying to pace ourselves that it will feel really frustrating to try and do less of a task. When you add up the time taken for that baseline activity and the rest and recovery period, that might be a significant length of time. That if we could spread the activity out over, might make it a little bit more beneficial for your symptom management. We then need to think about goal setting, and that's one of the things that's really important with long-term symptom management, and we'll talk about that in one of our next talks. So if we then think about how do we pace and why it might be useful, we then look at our baseline and our recovery period and see if we can spread the activity out any differently. So it might be if, for example, you spent a whole morning doing some cleaning around the house and it then took you a couple of days to recover, that you might think about trying to spread those jobs out over those 2 days. So you might do half an hour and then have a rest, and then do a bit more and take some rest time. As I said, it can feel really frustrating to do things differently because we're not the biggest fans of change a lot of the time, but in the end it is quite worthwhile, because it might be then that this time overall becomes a little bit shorter. And overall, what it can do is help us move towards our goals, the things that are important to us. It also means that we can generally become a little bit more active, because with this more regular pattern of activity, so where you might do a little bit more and then gradually increase that, we can see that our body will become a bit stronger. And again, that will help you move towards your goals a bit better. It will also stop you going around that activity cycle from the previous talk. So we might try and eliminate the difference between good and bad days. We're trying to keep your activity level and your symptom level on a bit more of an even keel. And that's often what we find is a bit more sustainable for people, and means that we can lead a more fulfilling lifestyle, and it helps manage our pain a little bit better.